What's up, everybody? It is Mary Beth Eversole, the allergy actress, and I am here today with my very special guest, Teryl Wood. She is a speech therapist and super mom of Eli, who is her adult son who has autism. And as many of you know, I have talked many times before about the fact that the autism diet has to do a lot of special diet needs, like a lot of, no soy, no dairy, no wheat, lots of things like that. You have to watch out for chemicals, you have to watch out for, just gut needs. And specifically, that's what we're talking about today, right? We're talking about the mind-gut connection because it's huge, isn't it? It's like
it is.
80%.
And it's a growing field. It's something that's been on the back burner. Scientists have known that the gut has a huge contribution to how you feel and respond to things, but they're discovering more and more it has to do with behavior and how you think about things too.
Yep, and mood and all of that. So pretty much everything comes from here, you guys. So remember when like your mom would be like, go with your gut. She's right. So anyway, what are we gonna make today?
We are going to make Moroccan quinoa. And this dish has a lot of spices in it. There are spices that are known to have some natural antioxidant, anti-inflammatory properties, so this is good for your gut.
And Moroccan dishes tend to have lots of spices, which is great. So you told me this story about Moroccan food that you've been eating it since you were young, right?
Yes. So
okay.
I grew up in Idaho, so it was a huge treat to come down to California and eat at the fancy restaurants, and my favorite was always the Moroccan restaurant. You eat with your fingers and these huge, colorful, flavorful, sensual dishes come out. And so when I grew up, I started to learn how to cook and just incorporated more spices and love Moroccan foods.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And you discovered that the spices are healthy, and now you're feeding your whole family with those. So that's awesome. All right, well, speaking of ingredients, we're gonna get to those right now. So we'll start with you, because you have all these gorgeous, colorful veggies.
They're so colorful. If it's colorful, it's good for you.
Yeah, nutrients. Hello, people. Okay.
So start with 1 carrot, 1 stick of celery, and 1 shallot or 1 yellow onion. Chop them all into very skinny finger-size pieces.
Yeah.
Those are going to saute first.
See? Finger size. And then for the onion, you could either use just a regular yellow onion, or I really like shallots. So we used a shallot today because I don't know, I feel like they're more tangy. I just like them. So, and also just a note about organic vegetables. So like things like carrots, celery, you actually don't have to peel carrots or vegetables that get peeled. If they are organic, you don't have to peel them. You can just put the peels right in there with them. Make sure you wash them, of course, but you can keep the peels on because it's organic. So, if it's not organic, you gotta peel it. So, anyway, okay. And then next,
we have 1 small zucchini, chopped the same way. So have it, and then slice into, again, finger-sized pieces.
Yes. And the zucchini, seriously, you guys, like, I know they come in all shapes and sizes. This one was like that big, and like that big around. So it was very tiny. Okay, and next we have
roasted red bell pepper. And so if you can't find this in a jar, in a can, in a bag, all ready to go, organic, you can just take a organic red bell pepper, set it on a gas burner. It will not work on an electric burner. It will stick to it.
If you have an electric stove, you'll have to put it in the oven to broil it. So, yeah.
But you can just rest it on the burner like it's a little pot of water. Carefully watch it. Turn it with tongs so that you don't get burned. And when the skin is black and blistered, let it cool. Rub off the skin.
Yeah, take that skin off. And I had an episode a long time ago where I showed y'all how to do the peppers. So check it out. Yeah. Okay. So and then we have this concoction.
Okay, so you'll want about 12 sprigs of parsley and cilantro each. You're going to divide them in half because half are going to cook whole with your quinoa and half you're going to mince. I also used pieces of the lemon, half of the lemon, so I used the ends in here. All of this just infuses the quinoa with flavor. It cooks with it. Take it out.
Yep, you set it on top and then you take it out. We'll show you how to do that later. And then, so now we have the spices.
The spices.
This is the exciting part. So we aren't going to show you everything that goes, and how do you pronounce this?
Raza hanu.
Raza hanu. I don't know if I said that right, but it's a combination of a lot of spices. And so we decided to show you the raza hanu as is in a jar. But then we also decided to show a couple of the more unique spices that go into it so you can see what they look like when you go to the store and purchase them if you decide to make your own mix. So first, let's show the jar.
So this is my own little repurposed jar. I mix the spices separately and then just keep them in here, airtight, dark cupboard to preserve the freshness. I go through a whole jar quickly. So, and you want to try to keep your spices as fresh as possible.
Can I smell it? Oh, wow. Ooh, wow.
You get a lot of different
Oh my
scents.
gosh, there's so many in there. Yeah, so what goes into that mix?
So typically you'll have a cumin, a cinnamon, you'll have cardamom, you'll have cilantro as the seed form, the coriander,
Oh, okay.
black pepper, saffron, which
So this is saffron. This is, see, it looks like little twiggy
they are
red things.
they're the little stamens from little saffron crocus. So this is why saffron is super expensive, because you get 3 to 5 of these from one flower that blooms
Wow.
twice a year.
No wonder it's like $20 for that much.
Right,
So-
and if you see safflower that looks similar, it's not the same thing.
Nope.
Go for the real stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And then do you put a little salt in the mix, or
I
is the
put
salt
just
separate?
a little in to help
Okay.
preserve the freshness, but a pinch, so
Okay.
it's not enough to season a dish.
Okay. And then you also have a little bit of ground ginger, is that correct?
Ground ginger, and I used a dry ground ginger, but you can certainly use a fresh if you're going to keep it out of your mix.
That's ginger.
This is ginger. It's called a hand of ginger
Yes.
for a reason. And turmeric also goes into this mix, and turmeric is also a rhizome. Looks very similar, a little
Looks a lot
skinnier,
like
a
that.
little redder.
Now, you don't want to use the peel. You got to peel it, and then you mince it or chop it or however you want to do it. Grind it, crush it. Don't use the peel because that doesn't taste good. So, not even sure if it's digestible. So,
Probably not.
probably not.
More roughage than we need.
Right. A little too much. Okay, so then we also have quinoa. We have a cup of quinoa. Now remember, when you get quinoa, this is white quinoa. There's also red, there's black, there's yellow. And you want to make sure that you rinse it because it can have little stones in it. So you just be very careful. Make sure you don't get any stones. It's like with lentils, okay? So you just got to rinse it, get the stones out, and then you're fine. So that's 1 cup. And then we have about 3/4 of a cup of garbanzo beans. Now this came from a can, so it's like half a can, you know. Make sure you drain and rinse them. And that is that. And then this is that cilantro parsley mix. And again, for both things, for the full sprigs and then the minced, you want 12 sprigs of each. And we used flat leaf Italian parsley today, but you can use the other parsley, right? Yeah. I like the flat leaf. I don't know.
I do too.
Yeah. And then we have olive oil. And I'm excited about this one. This is straight from Mexico. This is at an olive oil an olive farm that's really close to my in-laws' house. And they go straight to that farm and they get these bottles of olive oil that they've made right there. And it's really cool. So this is 2 tablespoons, I believe. 2 tablespoons, yeah. And then we have half a lemon. So most of it goes in here, but remember you saw a few of the lemon pieces in the sprigs of cilantro and parsley that go on the quinoa. And so of all of these, like all of these things combined are really good for the gut.
They're very good for the gut. You've got really healthy proteins, omega-3s. You've got the anti-inflammatory, antioxidant properties that are in the spices and the deeply colored vegetables.
Yeah, and you have vitamin C that you get from those peppers. There's more vitamin C in a bell pepper than there is in an orange, which is really cool. And then the quinoa is actually equivalent to, or actually more protein and complete protein than a serving of beef, which is also very cool. For those of you who are going vegetarian or vegan, that's a great protein to do. And it's an ancient grain, so you can use it. I think if you're gluten-free, can you have it still?
You can still have quinoa.
Yeah.
Yes. So the traditional dish is made with couscous, which is a pasta, which is tiny this size.
Wheat.
No go. It's a wheat.
Nope, yeah, I can't have couscous. So we're doing quinoa. Okay, so yeah, I think we're ready to go to the first step. Woohoo! It is time for step number 1. Okay, so what do we get to do first?
Well, first we need to heat the pan and heat the oil.
Okay.
And then we can add the veggies.
So yes, so the pan here.
You're going to heat it at about a medium.
Okay.
And then depending how fast that heats the oil, we may turn it down just a little bit.
Okay.
So about half the oil.
So half the oil. And remember, we did like 2 tablespoons of oil, so
We
like
did 2 tablespoons
1
of oil.
tablespoon of oil.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Yeah, and then we're letting that kind of heat up. So while we're doing that, I want to talk a little bit about microbiomes.
Microbiomes, not just really tiny biomes.
No, right?
The biomes of the microbes in you and on you, but the important part for us today is what's in you, so
Yeah.
in your gut.
Yeah.
So you have a host of good bacteria that live in your gut, and they do things like ferment and process and trigger your immune system, trigger neurotransmitters. They do a lot of collaborative things with your body. And you can get maybe 10% more of your calories just from what those microbes do and what they produce.
Wow, that's crazy. And yeah, so I'm doing a little bit of reading right now about the mind-gut. There's a great book called The Mind-Gut Connection. Everybody should go read it. And it's talking, right now what it's talking about, how is those microbiomes can be, passed from parent to child, and how it affects you, even the microbiomes when you're in utero. And it's just blowing my mind, you guys. These little teeny tiny little things have such a huge effect on not only your parents' immune system, but your immune system before you're even born, but it affects your immune system into adulthood. And I'm dealing with that right now. So, but yeah, so what other interesting instances? What other today is that kind of day, you guys. What other interesting things do you have to say about
So we're kind of smoking. I'm
yes.
going to turn it down as we segue into that.
Okay, so we're putting a little bit of that. Can you please pronounce the spice again?
This is the Ras Al Hanout.
Ras Al
And
Hanout.
I'm putting about half in now.
Okay. And
It's sizzling,
let me get
so I'm
my
gonna
stirring stick.
Cool the pan a little bit. And spices, depending what cuisine you're cooking, if you're cooking Indian, you want to really sear those spices. We don't want them that dark though, so I'm going to try to cool these quickly.
Okay. Yeah, and lifting the pan always, if your oil is too hot, lifting the pan will instantly get it less hot. So, other than if you don't want to turn the heat down completely.
And I'm going to throw in our veggies.
You guys, it smells so good in here right now. It's like, I just want to like.
And I'm just going to distribute them a little bit into the pan so that they all get coated, but then sit so they get a little bit of a darker side. I don't want to stir too much.
Got it. Okay, so we're coating.
Coating and then sitting.
And then just sitting to get a darker side. I can't like the smells now are even more like I want to lick that pot right now and just
It's a little hot. I wouldn't recommend it yet.
No, yeah, don't do that. Don't try this at home, folks. But yeah, so now we're letting this sit. For how long do you let it sit?
2 or 3 minutes. I might shake it again in the meantime just to make sure that I've got a nice little golden color starting on the bottom. I want to turn it again to get golden. And then after that, maybe 3 minutes, I'll add the more delicate vegetables like the zucchini.
Zucchini cooked so fast, you guys. It's a water-soluble vegetable, just kind of like cucumbers and lettuce. So like, don't put zucchini in when you start cooking onions, because your poor zucchini will be dead
Zucchini
by the
paste.
time the onion is translucent. So, but yeah, so what other interesting facts about this mind-gut connection? I mean, it's not just a physical thing. I mean, it affects your mental state, it affects your moods, it does affect physical, but they talked a lot about how there are brain cells in your gut.
More or less. So you have neurons. Most of your neurons are, of course, in your central nervous system, but you have neurons in your gut that power just your gut. So if your vagus nerve, which is that wandering nerve from your brainstem that connects down to the gut and forms that axis, that communication.
The mind-gut axis.
Exactly.
Yep.
Even if that's cut, your gut will still work. Your gut can work without any external innervation.
Isn't that crazy?
It is
crazy.
crazy.
That blew my mind too. When I read that, I was like, what? And then just the fact that your gut does control 80% of your immune system.
It does, and that makes sense because,
Yeah.
I mean, you have cells that keep the outside out all over your body, including, starting at your mouth and all the way through. But when you absorb nutrients, you have to have some passage, and those microbes help control what goes through and filters into your bloodstream through your gut.
So you can imagine when the microbes are out of whack, that a lot of stuff is out of whack. So
Exactly, and they can help trigger good things too. So if you're eating a healthy diet and your microbes are happy, you're going to have more neurotransmitters to decrease pain in your body.
did you hear that, guys?
So
More neurotransmitters to
probiotics.
decrease pain.
Exactly.
So probiotics, good things.
And that was actually in a recent study. They
Oh,
had
really?
20 women have probiotic drinks for a month, and the women that were on the probiotics versus a plain dairy versus nothing, just the water, the probiotic users had less pain sensitivity.
That's crazy. It's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, really
Yes.
cool.
So it can affect depression if you have chronic pain.
Yep.
If you have
Anxiety.
irritable bowel, anxiety,
Yep.
all of these things that you become more sensitive to stressors, it helps reduce that.
That's so cool. I'm like, it's very exciting for me. Now, food allergy wise, and how are we doing here?
We're doing pretty good. I tossed it once and you can see I've got some golden color, so we're almost ready for the zucchini.
Yep. Awesome. Okay, so food allergy wise, what happens to your gut when you have a food allergy?
Well, a couple of different things can happen. If you have sort of the anaphylactic response, that's going to happen before it hits your gut.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But you have, there are many different processes in the immune system, and there are checks and balances, just like with other hormones in your body, and your endocrine system in your body ties into this too. So you can produce toxins in the gut if you have a unbalanced gut chemistry, and so that's going to kick into low inflammation, which doesn't just stay local to your gut.
Nope, which so many of us have because of the types of foods that exist, especially in this country. So
Exactly. And processed foods where you have added sugar, where you have carbohydrates that don't need to be there.
right.
They can sort of...
That brings those
they
yeasty
make
babies
yeast.
come up, and
Exactly.
they're like, we want to eat on that, So that's, yeah. And then with the food allergies, your body starts thinking that it's something that's bad for you. And it starts attacking it, even though it's food that might be nourishing for you. Like for me, for instance, I am allergic to wheat, which for most people is okay. But my body is like, nope. And corn too. And a real specific one for me that not a lot of people have is my animal protein allergy. So like beef especially is very, very bad for me, and I have a horrible reaction to it. Whereas most other people don't. Oh yeah, let's put the zucchini in. All right, so now the more vulnerable, the zucchinis, they go in.
They're delicate.
Yeah, they're delicate. And you're not going to cook this for cook it down till it's wimpy and limp vegetables. It's not that, because you lose your nutrients. The more you cook these things down, like if you get them really, 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 really cooked down, they lose nutrients. So, al dente is better, in my opinion. So,
Me too, I agree.
yeah. But, yeah, as we said, vegetables have different cooking times, so always know what your cooking times are for your various vegetables. More delicate vegetables, those that have more water in them, tend to cook less time. Whereas the more dense, like root vegetables, onions, things like that, they take a longer time to cook. So, so now how long do we wait for this to go?
About another 3 minutes. You want the zucchini to start to get soft, and in that time, the shallot, celery, carrot are all going to continue cooking.
Cool. Okay, so I have a question. What got you interested in learning about the mind-gut connection? What really started you on that topic?
Oh boy. Well, frustration with medical help that was available.
Yep.
My son, when he was 2, got rotavirus, which is a severe flu. Kids in countries where they don't have immediate medical emergency care die from this, from the dehydration.
Yeah.
So my son was hospitalized for 10 days. and he came home and he was having febrile seizures because he was so dehydrated.
Oh my gosh.
And after that time, he regressed. And that's when he developed the antisocial behavior. He lost his language. He had a true profound regression into autism. And it was this stressor that did it to him. And there are always genetic components too. It's never just one thing.
Right.
There has to be sort of the perfect storm.
Yeah.
And that can happen in utero, or that can happen afterwards.
Yep.
He was 2. So at that time, the first help we got was a behavioral specialist who suggested try the gluten-free, dairy-free diet. And at
Good behavioral specialist.
Great behavioral specialist.
So many moms I've talked to that have an autistic child said their doctors would scoff at the diet, you know?
Exactly. And it was at that point just sort of called leaky gut dismissively. And it really was a case of a leaky gut. He did not have the right microbiome anymore or ability in his cells and his intestine to process these things. So he would eat wheat or something else and it would inflame him. He would get irritated. He would be unregulated in other ways. And so when we went on this diet, it was 4 days and the head banging stopped. Where
4
he would
days.
sit against a wall or a couch or
4
something else
days.
and bang his head. 4 days.
That was it. That's it.
That was it. But he still has other behaviors, but the most self-aggressive ones calmed way down once we adjusted his diet.
That's amazing, and that's not the first time I've heard a story like that. You know, I had another mother on last year. Her son is now 9, probably 10 now, but he was in on the farther side of the spectrum where he was really being affected, and she was scoffed at about the diet, and she went and did her own research, became a holistic health coach so that she could learn how to feed her son and figure out how to help this. And when I saw her, when we did our episode last year, her name's Crystal Dodson, her son was showing no signs of autism. And he was in the school play. He had the lead in the school play, and it was a combination of behavioral health and therapies. But she said the diet was a huge and drastic change when she started doing this diet with him. And she said she'd never go back. She's like, I will never go back. And it's interesting because those are some of my food allergies. You know, wheat, soy, and dairy are some of my major food allergies, as you all know. And I just tried, because we're working on this autoimmune stuff right now, I've been encouraged to try my food allergies again to see if anything's changed. Nothing's changed. However, you know, working on diet for the autoimmune is the same kind of idea where it's, you know, it really is helping my moods, you know, helping the fatigue that I feel, and then, you know, if I come in contact with a food allergy, that's the only time I'm really noticing issues anymore. Whereas before, with the food allergies and the autoimmune, it was the undiagnosed autoimmune, I should say, because I didn't know. It was like, okay, this is fine, but now I still feel awful. Like I still am so tired all the time, and I'm having digestive problems, but I'm not eating any of my allergens, and what's going on? And you know, that whole gut, you know, I had salmonella last year, you guys, and it's really been since then that this all flared up, and I haven't been able to, I wasn't able to figure out what was going on, nor was my doctor. We finally got, and we communicated with a health coach.
I'm going to take these
Yes, let's take those out. And it was like, I don't know, I'm in the midst of working on it right now, and it's already made such a difference. So.
Well, and that microbiome, like you said, you start with it. You get it as you are born. So kids, as they're born, they get a nice coating of microbes from their mother.
Right.
And they pick them up from the environment, from breastfeeding, from things they eat, things they put in their mouth. So if you have pets, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
And they actually say you share a lot of microbes with your pets.
Oh.
They can ID you to your pet.
Really?
By microbe.
What? This is crazy, you guys. This is all stuff that ends up in your gut. But yeah, not necessarily a bad thing. So what we've done here is now we've got, we're keeping the pan that we used for the vegetables, and now you're going to put the rest of the oil in, and now you're putting the rest of the spices in.
Correct. Pinch of salt.
Pinch of salt.
You don't need much with this, and you can actually have too little salt in your diet.
That's me right now, actually. I was just told that I need to eat more salt, and I was like, I will. Thank you very much.
But adding a pinch is great. You don't need more than that. You shouldn't omit all the salt from your diet, though.
Right.
So.
Yep.
Okay, so with my impeccably clean chef hands, I'm gonna pour this in, and we need 2 cups of water.
2 cups of water. I'll get that.
Filtered water, please.
All right. Let's do this.
How handy.
How handy.
Well, you were talking about things that have changed for you and getting salmonella triggering other problems with food allergies and so forth.
And the food allergies were before, you know, but we think the autoimmune may have been before, but it was more in remission. But man, that salmonella just, I believe so. I'm eyeballing it.
Okay.
We'll think that's 2 cups.
If we need to add more, we'll add more, but I don't think we'll need to. That looks pretty good.
But yeah, I've had a lot of these issues since I was little, but I was having so much going on all at once that we really couldn't tell what was what. So we addressed the food allergies first because those were the biggest problem, you know, causing anaphylaxis, things like that. So, but I addressed them for a few years and I was still having problems. And then the salmonella hit and it was like, boom, just, woo, last year was a doozy, you guys. So, you know, it was just one of those things, so.
Well, and that makes sense because if you're already sensitive, then those little markers that you have that tell your immune system, hey, this is a bad guy, trigger the defenses, you get another illness on top of it, and now all of the markers are responding. Yeah. So now your whole immune system is going crazy over whatever is in your gut at the time.
So yeah, so that wasn't fun last year. You guys, I was going to say sarcastically, that was fun, but no, not even close. No, well, no, not fun. Don't get pneumonia and then salmonella and H. pylori in 1 year. Don't do it.
Oh, boy.
So, but yeah, but I'm happy to say that it's like we're on the path now to this health, and it's what we're talking about today, this mind-gut thing. It's such an important thing. If you are dealing with illness or inflammation or something that you just don't know and your doctors don't know, even if your doctors do know what it is, turn to your gut first, because that is where your immune system lies. Turn to your diet. Turn to what medications you're taking, you know, because those can affect it too. And start with that. And I bet you'll start feeling different, at least, maybe better. That would be great. Yeah, okay, so we put the quinoa, we put the garbanzos.
I stirred it up, but now I'm going to set this on top as this simmers. I'm not stirring it in because I want to be able to take it back out. This is just going to infuse.
So this is the lemons and the cilantro and the parsley sprigs. And it just sits on top like that.
It sits on top.
It's just kind of infusing the liquid. So then it goes into the quinoa. And by the way, have we mentioned how good quinoa is? It's a superfood and so many nutrients. I can't even name them all. It's a complete protein. Plant-based, and it's gluten-free, which is awesome. And I don't know, I can't say too much about it because it cooks like rice, so it's easy. It absorbs whatever you pretty much put with it. So, I mean, I love it. Don't you?
We love it too.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a great alternative to the starchiness of rice or potatoes or whatever you use sort of to accompany and bolster up your proteins. And it is protein.
It is so much protein. It's so good. Okay, so we're going to let this sit and simmer for how long?
About 15-20 minutes. It has to come up to a boil first, so I increase the heat, but I'm going to watch it because we had the oils searing with the vegetables, so I don't want it to burn on the bottom.
Burning is ugh.
It's not tasty in this case.
Yeah, but while we sit here and do this, we're going to let you guys take a break, and we will be back on the flip side to show you what it looks like, and then we'll move on to the next step. So now we are going to assemble the assembly line. What do we do first?
Okay, first we need to remove the aromatics.
Okay, so we're gonna, just a bowl that you've used before is fine. Just take those sprigs of stuff out and the lemons as well. Do not leave the lemon rinds in there.
Yeah, you can get salted, cured, preserved lemons also have a really interesting flavor, and you want to rinse them before you use them.
I've tried those before. I'm not a huge fan of them.
It's an acquired taste.
It's an acquired taste, yeah.
Okay, so we're taking out the cooked leaves. Almost got it.
And there's one more lemon in there, I think.
I see that. They get a little buried as the quinoa cooks.
Yeah. But it's such a beautiful dish already. It's like we haven't even put the vegetables in. The quinoa has just got this beautiful yellow hue to it, and it's probably because there's turmeric in the spices.
Turmeric and saffron.
Yeah, and that color creates this beautiful yellow hue. And so we'll just put this you can compost or discard however you wish. So then...
So traditionally, if you're using couscous, you mound it. So we're going to do that with our quinoa. We're going to mound it as the base and then put all of the beautiful, colorful vegetables around it.
Woohoo! Okay. So probably should have given you a different spoon than the slotted spoon, but...
I think it'll work.
Yeah.
I have faith.
So this is, it smells like aromatic, like,
Let's see if I can turn
I
this for
say
you.
I wish I could have smell-o-vision.
It's best to not totally cook your quinoa totally dry, which
Okay.
miraculously this quinoa looks perfect.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous.
Okay.
And you know your quinoa's done when it kind of opens, like it splits. Other indicator is all of the liquid is gone. So, and it looks very fluffy. It's kind of just like rice. I said it starts to look fluffy like rice. So, so yeah, that's the little mound that smells so good. Okay, so while we're putting the vegetables around, you have told me about a project that is wonderful for people with digestive issues or dealing with autoimmune or food allergies. This really is going to affect a lot of people. And what is it called?
Well, this is the American Gut Project.
Yeah.
And this is actually the largest crowd-sourced research project going on in the U.S. And you can contribute samples to the project.
Okay.
At least 3. If you are female, you will contribute a 4th sample.
Everybody, females, you probably know what we mean by that.
Yes.
So, and these are like bodily samples.
Exactly.
We won't go into details because we're looking at food right now. But
but what they've done is they've mapped out kind of like giant continents of what healthy microbiomes in each of those areas would look like, the diversity that they have. And so when you send in your samples, they can tell you where you are on that map.
yeah.
And it's not diagnostic, so you can't take this and go get medicine, but you can take it to your health practitioner.
Yes. And from there, that will help your health practitioner like so much, because getting into that small of a detail inside your body, it's like giving them a map of your immune system. I mean, like these targets that and tags, really, you know, the microbiomes are like tags that talk about your immune system and what's going well and what isn't going well.
And your gut, your microbes in your gut and other places in your body have trillions of cells and genes, far more than what you have in your genetic information.
Yeah, like DNA, yeah. So, you know, an interesting fact about DNA is, I just was reading this in the Mind-Gut Connection, that fact that the microbiomes can actually turn on different genes in your gut in response to certain things that are happening to your body, which is the fact that they have that control is like amazing to me. There's this whole ecological system going on inside of me that I wasn't even aware of, that I really don't have any control over, except for, you know, trying to figure out what I can feed myself with, and, you know, all of that. It's crazy. So this is called the American Gut Project.
It is. You can find it online, and the kits are not that expensive. So you send away for it and then send back in your samples.
And who is one of there's a gentleman that's kind of helping to run it. What is his name?
His name is Dr. Rob Knight, and he's with the University of UC San Diego currently. But he's one of the pioneers in this project of really mapping out what is in the microbiome typically.
Yeah. And if you want to get more information about the things that he is looking into specifically, he's done some TED Talks. And we all know what TED Talks are, so, you know, go look him up, go look online and put his name in and put gut or microbiome, and you'll find him.
Exactly.
So, you guys, I just have to hold this, like, look at this.
And traditionally, you'd put raisins and almonds and things like that on top. We're not doing this. This is really amazingly good just like this.
It's just veggies and quinoa. Look at, I mean... that just tells me right now that I'm gonna have a really good day with my gut, because it's look at all of the colors, and you can smell the spices that are just, they're anti-inflammatory, they are good for your skin, you know, they get rid of the toxins. Spices are wonderful for that, by the way. Talked about that before, for cleansing your system, you know, and bringing inflammation down. And I don't know, just look, I can't wait to dig in. Okay, so speaking of digging in, we're gonna do that next. Cheers.
Cheers. All the different flavors and nothing is overwhelming.
No, and it's just, everything is perfectly cooked. And it tastes exactly like it smells, and it smells amazing. And so it tastes amazing. Yep, I would have to agree with that. Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for bringing this recipe on today and for coming on the show today. And all the information you shared is just, it's so vital for our health to know what we're dealing with, you know? And I just appreciate you coming on.
Well, thank you.
So
I appreciate everything that you've donated too, with putting all of these recipes out there for all of us to try, that have friends, family members, and selves with sensitivities, allergies.
Yes. Yeah, and it's the more the merrier, you know? Making food fun for everyone, right? Yes. So I know that you have some resources that you could recommend if people want to know more about like the mind-gut connection or the mind-gut axis. So the mind-gut connection is a book that I mentioned before. That's a good book. Are there a few others?
There are a couple others. There's one called The Brain Maker that specifically talks about the contributions of the gut to the brain instead of the other way around. And then if you're medically inclined, it's a heavy read.
Meaning you want to read really boring medical text?
Read it at night if you have insomnia.
Yeah.
Or if maybe you have already dabbled in this stuff and you need some more in-depth knowledge, it's called The Second Brain. And those 3 books are really good. You can go on to YouTube and find talks from UCTV. They'll have professors and doctors on there discussing these exact same findings and research.
We talked about the TED Talks already. We talked about Rob Knight and the American Gut Project. And then if people want to reach out to you, is there any way that they can reach out to you?
I'm a speech therapist and I'm based in Pasadena. So you can find me, my website is SpeechCog for cognitive, speechcog.org. Or you can email me at therapist@speechcog.org.
Okay, and we'll post that at the end credits so that people can reach out if they want to, you know, because we're all in this together. And I just feel like the more information we can give to each other that's based in fact and, you know, based in actual experience, which you have and I have, you know, and all these resources we mentioned, this is specifically what they're looking for, just to help everybody feel better, honestly, you know. So, yeah. This is awesome. I had so much fun with you today.
Thank you. It was a blast.
Yes, and I cannot wait to finish eating the rest of this. In the meantime, you guys, we will see you next time. This is allergy actress Mary Beth Eversole and special guest Teryl Wood signing off for now.